Pokemon Red and Blue, revolutionary, absolutely. But in all fairness, the sheer amount of bugs and broken code in these games makes me wonder how they became the biggest franchise in the world. Today we're peeling back the pixels to see how a technical nightmare became a global masterpiece. To understand why Gen 1 was so broken, we have to talk about the most famous mistake in gaming history, MissingNo. Most of us know the steps. Talk to the old man in Viridian City, watch his catching tutorial, and then fly immediately to Cinnabar Island to surf along the coast. But why does this happen? It comes down to a desperate shortcut. The Game Boy's memory was incredibly small, and the developers had to be creative with how they store data. When you talk to the old man, the game needs to temporarily store your player name so it can change it to old man during the tutorial to save space. It puts your name in a memory buffer that is usually used to determine which wild Pokemon appear in an area. Under normal circumstances, when you enter a new route, that buffer is overwritten with new Pokemon data. But the eastern coast of Cinnabar Island was a dead zone. It had no wild Pokemon data assigned to it. So the game looks at the memory buffer, finds your name instead of a Pokemon ID, and tries to render it. The game panics and creates this: a missing number, a literal ghost in the machine that can duplicate your items, or if you're unlucky, corrupt your entire save file. If MissingNo was a ghost in the machine, then Glitch City is the machine completely losing its mind. To find it, you have to break the game's internal clock. By entering the Safari Zone and trying to leave, you trigger a specific exit state by saying no and walking back in. You've put the game on a collision course. The game thinks you're in the Safari Zone, counting down your 500 steps, but you're actually in the overworld. When that timer finally hits 0, the Safari Zone is over. Script forces you back to the gatehouse. But because you weren't actually in the Safari Zone when the clock stopped, the game's map loader gets catastrophically confused. This is Glitch City. It's not a secret level or a hidden map. It's what happens when the game tries to load map coordinates that don't exist. It pulls random data from the road, tiles, sprites, and blocks, and stitches them together in a digital library. You can see where you're going. It's the ultimate proof of how fragile Kanto really was. So, the maps were broken and the memory was leaking, but at least battles worked, right? Well, not exactly. If you watched the anime or read the official strategy guides, you were told one thing: Ghost-type moves are super effective against Psychic-type Pokemon. But in the actual code of Gen 1, Psychic Pokemon were completely immune to Ghost-type moves. It was a massive oversight that accidentally made Alakazam and Mewtwo nearly invincible for an entire generation. And it gets weirder. Take the move Focus Energy. It's supposed to increase your critical hit ratio, but due to a legendary negative math error in the programming, it actually did the opposite. Using Focus Energy reduced your chance of a critical hit by 4 times. In Gen 1, trying to play strategically actually made your Pokemon worse. Even the luck of a critical hit wasn't really luck. In these games, your critical hit rate was tied directly to your base speed stat. This meant that fast Pokemon like Dugtrio or Persian weren't just quicker, they were accidentally god tier because they landed critical hits nearly 20% of the time. The faster the Pokemon, the more broken the game's math became. When you look at it all together, the memory leaks, the scrambled maps, and the broken math, it's a miracle Pokemon Red and Blue didn't just crash on the title screen. But maybe that's why we love them. These glitches weren't just bugs, they were mysteries. They created the schoolyard rumors and the sense of discovery that defined a generation. Gen 1 wasn't a perfect game, but its flaws made a perfect playground. But what about you? What was the first glitch that ever broke your game? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.